Okay, right, we're live. Hi guys, it's
Right.
Nick. Got another chat for you, and I'm here with Mr. Mantique himself. I'm sure many of you guys that follow me will follow Ken as well. Here with Ken Chapman. So, did you want to say hi and just explain who you are and a little bit about what you do, Ken?
Yeah, it's Ken Chapman. I do a little bit of YouTube. I'm mainly a full-time reseller now. I still do a little bit of part-time work. Do a bit of war games, figure painting. Uh, Sell quite a lot of stuff on eBay now. It's building up nicely. But I'm mainly into the antiques and collectible area of selling, really. That's what I specialise in: unusual items, things that you don't see every day, really.
So, are you? Do you mean you're almost going full time now, or are you still? Because you do
Well,
taxis, is that right?
yeah, I've not really the taxi driving. I do it. I do it, but I don't always do it. If you know what I mean. If I have a good week, I don't bother going in. It's sort of like my backup now. The taxi driving. It's full time eBay and then a little bit of taxi driving on the weekends occasionally. But I'm trying to sort of like phase it out.
Fantastic. So, for those that don't follow Ken's channel, Ken, you get 90% of your stuff from auction. Would that be right, or more than that? Is it nearly all from auction?
Now it is, yeah, it's 90% now. It used to be a lot of flea. When I first started, it was the charity shops, flea markets, buying at retail really, and trying to add a little bit extra on. But obviously, as you get more into it, I started thinking, hang on a minute, where are these guys at the flea markets getting their stock from? So I started researching the auctions, and I've got into that side of it now. And when I go to the auctions, I see the guys that I used to be buying off. I used to be their customer. I'm now competing against them at the auction for the same stock.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
how
so that's
I was going to ask, have you got a background in antiques, or I mean, how did you learn it, or did you just learn as you go? I mean, what was your?
there's been a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of mystery about antiques, really. A lot of people think that it's like, it's this subject that's so complicated, but you just sort of like get into it bit by bit, really. I used to do antiques fairs a few years ago. I won't tell a lie. I used to sell bits and pieces then. And I used to buy off eBay and flip it at the antiques fairs, which is quite difficult because you're trying to buy something virtually at retail value and sell it for retail value, but make a bit. But I managed to do it quite successfully. But there was a lot of messing about. You're driving miles, like you could be going to a fair in Halifax, next one could be Buxton, and it was just a lot of schlepping about. So I started on the eBay selling die-cast models, Corgi, Dinky, that sort of thing. I shipped into that. But I found that very, very difficult. That was in 2011. I wasn't making a lot of money. There was a lot of other sellers on there with massive amounts of stock, selling it successfully. I had my stuff cheaper and I couldn't sell it. It was just like, it was just, I couldn't believe it. So I auctioned it all off, bought a Mazda MX-5, had a midlife crisis, and then come back to it. Somebody wrote me off in the MX-5, nearly killed me. And then I thought, well, my son had a load of these war games figures, like the Lord of the Rings and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I still had my account active. So I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll start painting these figures up because there was like thousands of them. And I had a background in model making and painting previously. So I thought, well, I'll paint them up and I'll start selling them. So that's how I started, really. So I started with the Warhammer and then like other figures to sell. But obviously, there's a limit to the amount you can sell. Well, not to the amount you can sell, but the amount you can paint. Physically, you can only paint so many in a week. So I thought, well, I'm going to have to start selling some other stuff to sort of like build it up. And that's when I started watching the Scavenger Life, the Scavenger Life podcast.
Yeah.
And then from there, that led me on to your channel. I thought, oh, hang on, there's a guy here in the UK who's not selling what I want to sell, but if you do it seriously and you methodically run it as a business, it can be done. Oops, where's he gone? So basically, that's what I did, and I've built it up since then. And I started off with things that I knew about, like militaria, but I'm never afraid to take a chance, and that's the thing I think you got to do sometimes. I'll go to an auction, I'll see a job lot of items. Like a few weeks ago, there was a job lot of hands, like just weird hands, like model hands,
Yeah.
all made of pewter, and some of them were cast iron. And nobody was interested in it. And I thought there was 30 hands in there, plus there was a burner, like a Bunsen burner, which was in its tin, like a camping stove, but a really, really old one, all made of brass. So I thought, well, that's got to be worth something. And there was an old speaker off a radio. So I work out in my head, I think, well, hang on a minute, right? I know I can probably get 20 to 30 for that burner, and I can get 15 for the speaker. So I've got £45 there to play with. The hands will be free. That's the way I think of it. So I bought it. I got it for £28, including commission. I sold the burner the same night for 30 quid. The speaker went the next day to Japan for 15 because it was untested. I couldn't test it. It was an old radio speaker. And then I started listing the hands, 25 to £30 each. And I've sold about 10 of them. But the thing is I'm not afraid to take a chance. You've got to... I think of the antiques, what it is you've got to be able to see quality. If you can see that something's made well, and it's not a piece of tat, there's a lot of work gone into it, and you're not going to pay too much, 9 times out of 10, you will make some money. It's just a case of trial and error, really. I have had some failures, with the fox incidents. The taxidermy was not as good as I expected. I have sold them all now, but I probably only broke even on them.
Didn't you offload those to a dealer or something in the end?
Well, what I did was my mate who's got the vintage shop in Ramsbottom, he knew I had these 2 foxes because I was moaning about them all the time, So he said, well, I'll take them off your hands for 50 quid each. So I paid £40 each for them. So I thought, well, yeah, 50 quid, £10 profit. Get them out the house. I mean, one of them was here behind my computer, and it was just like staring at me every day, So it's just getting on my nerves, looking up at this fox all the time, So I thought, yeah, I'll get rid of them. I've had no interest in these foxes. As soon as I told him that I'll get rid of them, one of them sold straight away for 80 quid. So he only got 1 fox. But I had that other big one, the big one lying down. So I'll give him that one as well. But I did make a loss on that because it was the first time that I went to the Clitheroe auctions, and they used these headset microphones in there, and I couldn't hear what he was saying. And I thought he said 8 quid. He was starting at 8, but he was starting at 80. I dived straight in thinking it was £8, and it was an £80 bid, and it was just like that, bag sold, gone. So I lost money on that. It cost me 94 quid, that fox.
In that case, then, if the hammer goes down and you misheard, is that it?
There's nothing you can do. It was. Now I'm used to it there, but it's like a free for all at that auctions. Basically, it's in like a sort of like a big, sort of like an aircraft hangar, if you like. That sort of setup with long tables full of stock, and basically you follow the auctioneer around. He has this transmitter microphone. The main guy who does it normally, he's great. You can hear him. But this other guy, you can't. He talks very low. And with people being in front of me and what have you, and it was like the first time I've been there. I've been to loads of auctions before, but first time I've been to this particular one, I just heard 8. I just heard the 8. So it was my mistake, but you learn by your mistakes, don't you? It's one of those, But I got some of my money back for it, so I'm not too bothered. But the mistakes are few and far between, really.
I said in a recent video, actually, I think people get way too precious about having to make money on everything. I mean, you just, some things you just can't make money on. If you've made a mistake, you've overpaid or whatever, you just got to sell it and move on, get some of your investment back. And I try and see my stock as one big picture. Let's say you made a few grand last month. It doesn't matter if you lose money on a handful of items, it's still adding to your overall profit. So I don't begrudge losing out on a handful of bits here and there. You've got to look at the big picture, and you do so well on some of your stuff. I love watching your roundup videos, and you've been doing more eBay sniping, which is something I haven't had time to do recently. I'm so busy. But that's
because honestly, Nick, if you put your mind to it, you could get all your stock off eBay and not even move out the house. It's just basically what I do is I just pick the category that I'm looking at. put it to 200 items a page, and I just go through it. So I do all. I say it's about first thing in the morning. If I want to just do sniping that day, first thing in the morning I will click it onto auction. Say Militaria, just put Militaria in. Select the different things I want, like badges, medals, and all that lot from the sidebar. 200 items a page, and I'll just wheel through it. And every one that I like, I just put in my watch list. And then, you can bid on those throughout the day. But mainly what I do is buy it nows, which I do like 10, 11 o'clock at night. And if you do it every day, you're only looking at the previous day's listings.
Yeah.
So you could say there's 3,000 items been scanned through and you're doing 200 items a page. You could be through. Once you know what you're looking for, you're just wheeling through it really quick till something catches your eye. You can find the stuff so easily, and I've had some real bargains off eBay. I mean, last year I bought, it was like a little marble carving, and it was a piece of the altar of one of the cathedrals. It was on the battlefront of the Somme. And some soldier had obviously been in there, been hit by artillery, and he'd pinched a piece of the altar. It's like a little medieval carving. And he'd written on the back of it, the date and everything. Now, I sniped that on eBay for 80 quid. Held on to it for ages, got loads of low ball offers, but I sold it in August for £285 because I saw that this thing's unique. It's where you're going to find another. It's a unique item, and I do that all the time. I just stroll onto eBay and I find stuff.
Do you find that what you do, because it's so unique, you've just got to have the nerve to set your price and hold out? I mean, that's a big difference between what I do. You've seen what I sell. Most of it, there'll be 500 of every one of these on eBay, and I'm list it and get it out the door quick. But I have dabbled in antiques, and that really was much more set your price and wait for that perfect buyer. And it's a completely different business model.
It's totally different business model, really. Yeah. I mean, I'm not afraid to buy, say, like cheap badges and stuff and flirt them out for £3 and £4 profit. I'll buy a job lot of badges and just list the hell out of them and let them go, that doesn't bother me. I'm not always holding out for the big items, but I like a nice cross section. But to me, the importance for me is building that stock. I'll need 10 times the stock level you've got to have the similar amount of sales, because the stuff that I'm selling is, like a few months ago, I sold 3 parts off a fighter jet. It's just ridiculous, And I bid on those blind at the auction because I didn't even see them at the auction. And I'm looking through the catalogue, it said RAF parts, RAF fighter parts. So I thought, well, if they don't go too dear, I'm going to bid on them. No, it could have just been a box of nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got them for £30. I think, well, if I lose £30, so what? But there could be something really good in there. And there was a mask in it. There was a pilot's mask, which I got 30 quid for. There was another couple of instruments that went for £50 and £60 each. So I got 140 back, and it sold within weeks. I just couldn't believe it. It's amazing what people will collect and what they will buy.
Exactly. And is that a big part of it for you, the whole excitement of not quite knowing what you're getting? Because you were chatting the other night about coming back from the auctions and going through your haul. And looking
I love that.
Thrill of, holy crap, this one's worth 100 quid, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, because it's it's the excitement, like you say. You don't know exactly what you've got till you start digging, especially if you're buying job lots.
Yeah.
I mean, last night I bought a load of RAF ephemera, and I found this rubber ring here, which you saw last night.
Oh yeah, the donut, as I called it.
Yeah, which I thought, oh great, I found a life preserver. Turns out to be his hemorrhoid ring, Well, this is what happens. But it's a vintage one, and it's worth 20 quid. So, yeah, the 16.99 new, but this is a vintage one. It's a really tough one. So,
oh my God,
I'll sell that to some rubber fetish person.
I've just got to say, Hicksy says hi. He's watching us live from his taxi.
Whoa, Hicksy!
Hey.
Just see if you like my new T-shirt here.
Dr. Chaos. Talking of which, I don't know if you can read that, Ken.
Oh, yeah.
Common sense. So rare these days, it should be classed as a superpower.
Well, it's a lie, isn't it, really? Because that's the trouble with common sense. It isn't common. That's the problem. It should be uncommon sense.
Since doing YouTube and some of the, I get lovely comments from all sorts of people who are, you know, doing what we do, and they do it really well and fantastically. But then there's this section who message me stuff, and you think, oh my God, how do you get out of bed in the morning?
I know. I got one this morning. I'm selling a first aid cabinet. The title says first aid cabinet, 36 centimetres by 27 centimetres. Get a message. What size is it?
Yeah. I wish I could remember some of the questions I've had.
It's just ridiculous, you know. You get ridiculous. Like, would that look good in my living room? Well, you know, I don't really know what your living room looks like. So, but generally speaking, the ones who send you the questions are the problem customers. It's a big red flag for me. That one question I'll put up with, but when it starts getting into a dialogue, you know that it's not usually going to end well.
Yeah, if they start getting really picky about the quality and the real detail about something, you know that almost certainly, but when they get it, they're going to pick a fault, aren't they?
Yeah. And I've got to be really careful with it being antiques and stuff. So I tend to really under-describe my items. I sort of like, even if it's mint condition, I'll just say it's very good with age-related marks. I always put that on every description, age-related marks and scratches. Just because I take really good photos, they can see what it's like, but you've just got to cover yourself, because some people, you know, they'll buy something at 100 years old and they'll say, oh, you said it was in mint condition, but I found a scratch on the underneath that, you know, that I haven't noticed, sort of thing. Can we have 30 quid off and all that? So, you know, I tend to, especially like I say with the vintage stuff, you've got to really describe it accurately, and if a little, just lower the expectation a little bit on it. You know, put it down as slightly worse condition than it actually is, and then usually you're okay. You know, that's a lesson I've learned with it anyway.
Yeah,
I don't tend to get too many returns. You know, maybe get 4 or 5 returns a year, which isn't too bad. You know, and I'm starting to build up a regular client base now, so, you know, it's pretty good.
Oh, really? So you're getting return customers who?
Yeah, I'm getting return customers, and I'm also getting return, like people who have sniped off eBay. I'm getting return sellers as well. So obviously they've checked my store. Like I bought a job lot of vintage tins a few weeks ago, 22 tins for 20 quid, which is an absolute bargain. There were some great tins in there. Some of the tins I've sold for £20 out of that job lot, just for one tin. So, you know, fantastic. Well, she messaged me again last week. She's got another load of tins here, same price. Do you want them? So, yeah, I took them.
Amazing.
So she's probably bought them in bulk from a house clearance, just wants to get rid of them. And she's passing them on to me.
Yeah,
You know, so
sometimes you'd think these people, if they're going to the trouble of putting it on eBay, they might as well spend half an hour researching it and get, you know what I mean?
I think some people just want to get rid of it. They just want to get rid of it sometimes, you know. It amazes me, but it's like when people message you and they say, oh, you're overpriced because one sold last week on eBay for this much. But it doesn't mean to say that they've got the right price just because they got one cheap on eBay, because the prices are all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, I can buy on eBay, you know.
You message him and say, yeah, I bought that one.
Well, that's the thing. If you sell something, especially the antiques and collectibles market, I mean, I've got behind me now, I've got nearly £40,000 worth of stock listed, plus probably maybe another £15,000 unlisted. You know, that's probably more than that. But I could sell all that tomorrow if I sold it for half what it's worth.
Yeah.
You know, oh great, I've done 3,000 quid in a day, but I'll just be giving the stuff away because there's other dealers who are searching on eBay for cheap stock. You know, people who've got antique shops and they do the fairs, or, you know, they do the big antique shows. They buy half the stock off eBay.
Right.
The cheap stuff, you know.
Do you have specialist insurance for your stuff, or have you not got it insured?
Not yet, no. Not yet. I'm a big lad. If anyone tries to steal it, they'll have a bit of trouble. I'll live with it, so it's never out of my sight, really. But I need to look at that, really, I think. In the future, I want to go into like you've got, a bricks and mortar store, not so much to sell stock, but from the buying side of it. because my friends in Ramsbottom, they're absolutely killing it on the buying now with the stock, and they're flipping it on eBay and they're selling a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
They're
as
doing
long
really
as you
well.
can find a reasonably priced unit, we are drowning in overheads because we're in an
Yeah,
expensive town anyway, and it's just it's crippling, you know. And but yeah, I mean that would be great for you if people could just walk in and offer you stuff. I mean that's what we do here anyway, but you know, ours is a million miles from antiques. But yeah,
yeah.
get people to just bring it to you, and then you just turn away the crap and buy the gems. And
Well, you don't even need to turn away the crap, really. My mate, he takes virtually everything in.
yeah,
Uh, he's got somebody listing for him on eBay, and he gives him £1 a listing as well, which is really, you think, well, how are you making money at this? But because he's selling so much. I mean, he's done. Like when I checked 2 days ago, he'd done £4,000 so far this month on eBay, and that's plus postage. He doesn't do free post, and then he's got his shop takings as well. So when you're doing, say, 6,000 in January on eBay, you're not doing bad, really, are you? Turnover, and you're getting the stuff for next to nothing. I mean, some of the stuff that comes in there is unbelievable. He's had some deals this year that, he's a £200 investment and he's had £4,000 back.
wow,
It's just been unbelievable. That is the key to it. If you're willing to buy, and you've got a shop, people will come to you, because there's a lot of people who want to get rid of crap and they want to get rid of it quick, and they don't really care how much they get for it. They're
oh,
already motivated, to sell
yeah.
it.
Oh, I
Uh,
firmly believe that. When we had, you probably know, we used to have a gaming shop similar to CEX and that, and we offered to buy computer games, CDs, DVDs, and the amount of vintage consoles people would bring in, and they've just dug it out of their loft, and they just want shot of it. And they also come in saying things like, "I just want to get rid of all this crap." So that's how they describe it to you. So
well, you know straight away, yeah.
you're thinking, well, you're going to take anything I offer you then. And, I'd buy up boxed Super Nintendos and boxed games for whatever I was prepared to offer, pretty much. And, everyone knows the value of that stuff. So, yeah, we forget that most people don't know the value or don't know how to find out the value of stuff, which is the key, really. They don't know how to look into it and work it out for themselves. So, yeah.
I think sometimes as well, they know the value, but they just don't care. They've got to that stage where they've built a collection up over years and years and years. The missus is giving them a load of hassle because it's taking up loads of room, and they just want to get rid of it. Or you get it where somebody's gone in a home and there's a house to empty, or somebody's just died and the children live 200 miles away. They've got to clear that house and get it empty for the council or whatever. So there's lots of different circumstances. But some of the buying that he's done this year is unbelievable. And he's not as knowledgeable as me. He's nowhere, because when I go there, he asks me about stuff. He's nowhere near as knowledgeable. They're a really nice couple. But, without blowing my own trumpet, I know more than him. So I think, well, if he could do it, surely I can do it. It's just a case of getting there, I've got the stock. I could open a shop tomorrow. I wouldn't need to buy any stock, because I would just put all my eBay stock in the store, and if it sells, just knock it off eBay.
Yeah.
So that's a long-term plan. And all the junky stuff, what I'll do is I'll just ship it off to the auctions every week. So all my crap, that when I get a job lot of stuff in off the customers, all the crap I'll just box up into crates and send to the auctions, and just flog it as job lots there and keep the cream for myself. So there will be money coming back in off those job lots, which more than likely will cover the cost of the initial investment, and then the eBay stock / shop stock will be the profit. That is the plan anyway.
That's great. I have no doubt you could make that work, mate. Sounds wonderful. And that side of it, I always used to love buying directly from the public, and I still do. Ka-ching! Something's gone. Star Wars vintage paperback.
You have listed a few books this week, haven't you?
Oh, a few. God, yeah, they're behind the screen. I've done a few hundred books this week, and I've got a big job lot to go as well. That was quite a good buy, actually. That was kind of a punt in the dark, really. I bought that collection of sci-fi books, but like you said, it was vintage. Don't know whether it was quality, but you could tell that it was something that if you were a collector, where the hell would you find them? That's my kind of logic.
Yeah.
and the price was right, so I took a punt, and I should make 200 or 300 quid out of it, hopefully.
Yeah, I say you just got to take a chance. I mean, a few weeks ago, I bought a big job lot of dolls. I know nothing about dolls, but there were all these like historical from the 1960s, but like dressed up as beef eaters and kings and queens of England. They were the sort of things that tourists would buy, I should imagine, at one time. And there was 60 or 70 of them in this box. So I thought, well, if I pay 70 quid, it's £1 a doll. That's the way I look at it, you know. So I got it for just under £70. There was a lady in the auction. She wanted one of the dolls on the top that didn't match. So I sold that straight away for £5. So I'm down to 65 quid. I split that into 2 job lots. Just banged them on eBay and job lots. I got 230 quid for the first lot and 70 quid for the second lot. So within a week, I've turned 70 quid into 300 on something I haven't got a clue about.
Yeah.
But you've got to be prepared to take that chance. If you never take that chance, I don't think you'll progress, to tell you the truth, because you'll just be stuck in that narrow band of stock, you know, that you can never get out of, you know.
And it forces you to learn, doesn't it? I mean, I've said this in various discussions with people, but if you test your limits a bit and go out of your comfort zone, you'll find that then when you come to list it, you naturally find out about that whole genre, don't you? You find out
That's right, yeah.
which are the crap, and then when you're out next time, you know what to look for. Perhaps what you bought was a dud, but in your research you find, okay, these are shit, don't buy those, but buy this brand or whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
And slowly your knowledge, I mean, I carry around, you must do, you just carry around all this seemingly random and useless knowledge, but yeah, if you know how to use it and buy the right stuff, it can pay off.
It's just a case of keeping your eyes open and keeping your options open. It's like when you bought all that plumbing gear.
Yeah.
You knew nothing about plumbing, but you can see, hang on a minute, there's a lot of fittings here. It's got to have some value. There's just got to be some way that's got a value. There's plumbers using that stuff every day of the week. And if you're cheaper than Wix or Homebase or wherever they get the stuff from, they're going to buy yours, aren't they?
Well, that's exactly it. I looked at that. I think I did look up like a certain elbow joint or something, brass elbow joint, and thought, right, I'm going to find out how much that, for example, is currently going for on eBay, and people are getting 3 or 4 quid a joint. And I thought, well, there's what, 100 in there. So I just made them a cheeky offer and bought the lot. I've actually got in my loft bags and bags of big plastic water plumbing joints and elbows and taps and all of that.
Oh, like for weights and stuff like that.
Yeah, and for like farmers irrigation and all of that, like proper industrial size stuff. And I sniped that off eBay. It's going back 1.5 years now, and I just put it in storage. But I got that for, I think it was about 98 quid, just under 100. And I roughly worked out at the time there's about £1,000 worth of these plastic fittings.
Yeah.
And it sat on eBay and it was just being ignored because the guy had just taken a picture. He'd opened his garage door and had these sacks at the back, taking a picture in the dark, so all you could see were these vague sacks. He hadn't even taken the stock out, and the listing said plumbing fittings. That was his description in the headline, the title, and then he didn't even describe how many or what they were in the description. So after a few backwards and forwards messages, I figured out that he was sitting on a fortune's worth of stuff, and somebody else must have done the same thing and was bidding against me, but I got it for less than 100, and it was just one of those. Yeah, I need to. I'm probably going to list them soon, actually.
What are those field drains? Are they stuff like that?
They're called Plasson water pipe fittings. They're mainly like joints and elbows for plastic, sort of 2-3 inch grade pipe, that sort of stuff.
So it's industrial stuff. It's got to be worth a few quid, hasn't it? You know, because that never comes cheap, does it?
I did my research, and there's loads all over eBay, and it's all brand new. Most of it's still in the packaging. Because the guy, he explained, when I went to pick it up, I said, so how have you come by this? Because I'm nosy. And he was like,
worked on a building site and stole it all.
Well, it worked for like Veolia Water or something, but it just left his job. But when he took his van back, he said, well, I just emptied the van of all my gear and took the van back. So he said, I put it on the garage. I thought I'd flog it on eBay. So he was happy because it cost him nothing. And he got 100 quid to spend down the pub. And I'm sitting on £1,000 worth of plastic plumbing fittings.
What happened with all that sports gear you bought that time? Never seen the light of day, has it, that yet? It's
in the loft. I've got tons of it, mate. Yeah.
You know, one day you're going to be laying in bed and you're going to look up at the ceiling, there'll be a crack forming, and all of a sudden you're just going to get covered in an avalanche of crap, aren't you? It's just going to all fall through.
That'll be another nightmare I'll have now, along with the gnomes wearing green thongs, thanks to Mark. People hanging around in my front garden.
Random deliveries of plastic bags.
Oh, don't start. Don't give people ideas, Ken.
Yeah, so your shelves are looking a bit empty behind you there, Nick. What's going on?
Not a lot's going on. I've been, as most people know, I've been throwing stuff up to Amazon. It just suits where I'm at right now. So I sent another 100-odd items up the other day to Amazon, and I just haven't been concentrating on eBay. I've listed all the books which are that side, so you can't actually see them.
So what you finding with the FBA? You're finding that it's more profit. Forget about what you get top line. Is there more profit than eBay on every item, or does it vary?
It varies an awful lot. You can't make a penny on a lot of stuff up there because the competition is so rife. But I'm finding with new stuff, so retail arbitrage stuff that I buy up in clearance sales, sending that up and doing it FBA means you can demand a higher price, and I'm making way more on there than I would if I shoved it all on eBay. You just have to be selective, and I think that's where maybe some people that are trying it are going wrong, and they're sending loads of stuff up that's just random crap, and you can't make money on it.
Yeah, that's what I've been noticing myself. It seems to be, I mean, not just in this country, but in America as well. The latest thing to do is FBA. But I'm just wondering how many people are actually researching it and realising, hang on a minute, I'm not making any money here, you know, because Amazon, they're holding all the cards, aren't they, really? I mean, you're acting as an unpaid supplier, basically. I mean, if Amazon were buying stock wholesale, they would have to pay for it and then put it on their site, whereas basically what they're doing is they're charging you to supply them.
It's
you know,
scheme, absolute genius scheme, and it's making them a fortune. But if you play the game right, you can make good money doing it. And I'm still in my early days with this, and I'm still finding out, you know, how I'm going to take it. But it's certainly working for me. And if I didn't have FBA in December, we'd be in a right pickle financially now, because that made me a lot of money. But yeah, it's good. It's a totally different ball game. But I kind of enjoy that whole thing of packing it all up and doing all the labeling and then sending it off. And like I was saying before, it suits because I have less and less time to dedicate to this, because we're trying really hard to get the shop off the ground. So yeah, it's working better. And I see on some things that I send to FBA, I might be able to do similarly well on eBay or thereabouts. But if all I've got to do to sell it on FBA is shove it in a box and send it out the door, that's what I'm going to do now, because I don't have the time.
For that convenience, yeah.
Yeah, I'm paying that bit extra. Even if I make 50p or £1 less on an item, if it's FBA'd, I can forget about it and send it away. And that is worth paying for on some stuff for me. Right. So yeah, but it's good.
Wouldn't work with antiques though, would it? I'm stuck with eBay. I've got no choice. It's either eBay or Etsy, and I don't really fancy Etsy, tell you the truth.
Do you sell a lot internationally? And if you do international, do you ship it, or have you gone on the global shipping program?
No, I do a lot internationally, and I always have done, long before the global shipping program came into force. I look at my trade, it's probably 35% goes international, which is quite a lot, you know. A lot of stuff goes to America, a little bit to Australia. I sell a hell of a lot to Europe. Those are the only areas that I really sell to. I don't sell to India and Southeast Asia and Japan and Africa and South America. I just do North America and Canada, all of the European countries, and Oceania, which is Australia and New Zealand.
Right. So do you just turn the others off? You select?
Yeah, it's on every listing. I've just got it set at that. You set it up in your preferences. So I've always done my own shipping. I know roughly what an item costs if it's below 2 kilos, and then once it goes above 2 kilos, I just put a silly price on it because I know that Royal Mail charge a silly price for international postage over 2 kilos, especially if it's going to America or Australia. Europe, a 3 kilo parcel to Europe is going to cost you 50 quid tracked. A 3 kilo parcel to America is going to cost you the best part of 90 quid tracked. But I know that. I've got it up there, so I just put it on the listings. And if they want to buy a heavy item, which does happen in America or Australia, they can see what postage I'm charging. And they have to live with it, you know. But most of the smaller stuff, under 2 kilos, I can undercut the global shipping program quite significantly on my prices for dispatch. And I've watched a lot of the American sellers who used to do international, and then they swapped over to the global shipping, and they've all seen a drop in international sales, down from sort of like my 30% down to like 15%. Well, I can't really lose that, so no. I'd rather do my own. I mean, guys like yourself have only sold UK. Suddenly global shipping comes along, you're obviously going to see a boost because you never did international. But because I have already done international, I would see a drop, not an increase.
Yeah, I did used to sell internationally, but I was quite selective with the stuff I would. And now, because it's all tracked and they deal with all of that, I've opened it up to everything I sell. And that has seen an increase because I used to, I had loads of trouble for a while with Spain, Italy and Portugal. People just ripping you off. If I sent 10 things to Spain, only 3 had arrived. You know, it was just getting ridiculous. But with the GSP, I can send it all tracked. I mean, I could do that myself, but it's a pain in the ass, to be honest. So yeah, it works.
Well, I only send international tracked abroad, though. I don't. There's no unrecorded postage going out. Right. So many a time they'll buy a badge off me for a tenner, and they'll pay a tenner postage. You know, I just charge what it is. You know, sometimes I might make a couple of quid on the postage, but I always, even if it's a low value item, that's of no significance to me because I want to make sure it gets there. You know, you're still going to get a non-delivered item defect, whether it's a £1 item or a £1,000 item. So they're paying for the postage, so I charge them for it. You know, I've sold things for £5 and they've paid £14 postage to Australia for it.
I know, it is mad. One that reminds me of is a couple of Christmases ago, I used to break down, what's the game? Pictionary cards into little bundles of 50 and then sell them as an after-dinner Pictionary game. So in a pack of, I think it's 500 cards you get in one game for 50p at a boot sale, I'd sell these packs of 50 for £2 each. So a box would make me however much that is. And it was quite a good little racket. And I had next day delivery option on just to give it that whatever boost you're supposedly supposed to get to have a next day option on. And I had that on it at 10 quid. And some crazy ass somewhere bought these cards for £1.99 or whatever and paid £10 to have them next day delivered. It just, it made me laugh.
Yeah, I think
how important was that to get?
I know, yeah.
Cards next day.
I think sometimes what it is as well is we think that all eBay buyers think like us, like resellers think, but they don't. They're not. They're just normal customers. They just want to go out and they get something. They'll see it. Oh, I like that. I want it. You know, I want it yesterday. Oh, £7 delivery. So what? You know, we don't think that way because we're thinking from a business point of view. But these are just general people, and they just do what they want, you know. I mean, what amazed me was when that it was on the Facebook group, that Totopoly game, Escalado, was on Coronation Street. So suddenly Roy Cropper is playing Escalado on Coronation Street, and suddenly everyone's Escalado sell out. You know, I mean, that's the general public for you. They watch Coronation Street, they've never heard of Escalado, they see Escalado, they go, I want an Escalado. Get on eBay and they buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just mad. That's, you know, they tell you that people aren't sheep, but they are. You know, they see something that they never even thought of in their whole life. They see it on a TV program and suddenly they decide they want one.
Yeah. But I see when we go...
I was waiting for Tyrone to buy Fizz Fox, but it never happened. You know.
I see it all the time. When we go to visit my wife Andrea's nan, we sit there and the ad breaks will come on, and she will literally watch these adverts, and it'll be something that's of no relevance to her, whatever, and she'll just go, "Ooh, I'm going to buy me one of them," to virtually every advert. And you just think there are people like that out there.
Yeah, they're just brainwashed.
Being sold everything, and she'll literally say, "Oh, I'm going to try that next time I'm in Asda. I'm going to get me some of them coffee beans or whatever it is," and she's just taken in by it all. And I sit there thinking, Jesus, this advertising like works.
Well, it does, yeah. I mean, years ago they used to do that subliminal advertising that got banned by law, where they'd be at a cinema, you'd be watching a film, and for a split second they'd flash a Mars bar on the screen. You wouldn't even see it, but your brain would catch it. Then suddenly you want a Mars bar.
Well, that was all an urban myth, and it doesn't work. And it
does work. Subliminal advertising, yeah.
Really?
It got banned. That they couldn't do it anymore because it's it's against. Really, it's not good practice, is it? Really, but yeah, it's the human mind's a funny thing. I mean, everything I sell is not essential. I don't sell one essential thing.
No.
But people want it and they buy it. I get people at 3 o'clock in the morning buying an oxygen regulator off a Typhoon jet. Why?
You ever leave the phone on with the ka-ching going? I leave mine on my bedside table, and I've been woken up at the small hours, and you're like, Jesus, what was that? And you look at your phone and someone bought like a Noddy CD or something. You're like, Jesus, people.
It's just complete madness. I put a Magic Lantern slide on at the weekend. I've bought a load of these Magic Lantern slides.
Yep. And
I put one on, and it was a bird, lovely bird, called a great bustard. Never heard of this type of bird. I put it on. I put it on for. I thought it was worth about 20 quid. That, so I put it on for 30. Just completely made the price up, and it sold within 20 minutes to some lady in America whose eBay ID was Bustard Lover, So, you know what I mean? She must have had like a safe search. Anytime that Bustard comes on the a keyword, it pops up and I've had it with noddy tins as well, the same thing, like a noddy lover. I had these tins on, and like they sold within 10 minutes, and she was like this big noddy lover. And when I look back through her feedback, it was all noddy stuff. She just must have like a house flooded with noddy gear. It's just you can't work it out.
With a lot of your stuff, you just have to have faith that there's some nutter out there who wants whatever it is you picked up. Because it's hard to imagine who wants some of your gear.
I mean, some of the gear, like badges, postcards, but like I sometimes purposely buy the weirdest thing I can find, and they sell. I mean, last year I bought 2 wooden train wheels that were made. They were casting patterns that you'd put in the sand to make the mould, pour but they were a full set. I had 2 train wheels and one off a tank, but perfect wheels, but made of wood. And you think, well, who the hell's going to buy these? But they sold really quick. Somebody probably going to make them into a table or hang them from the ceiling and put utensils on them or something. But they sold really quick.
Train enthusiasts will just stick them on their wall or whatever, won't they?
Yeah. Well, one went to a pub company that does pubs up, like a refurbishment, and the other 2 went to the same customer. But I get a lot of that. I get stuff going to museums. I mean, I've sold loads of stuff to museums this year, and theatre companies, prop companies, Elstree Studios buy a lot of stuff off me. All these people are looking on eBay now, because where these props buyers years ago would have to go round Petticoat Lane Market looking for stuff, they don't have to now. They get on eBay and they buy it.
Yeah, you're right. I guess they can sit at their desk and just buy it all up with a few clicks, can't they?
Yeah, they just saw stuff. I mean, I've got stuff that's appeared on TV programs this year. Loads of stuff. They just buy it. So long may it continue.
I do want to get into, I think I said to you not long ago, I want to get back into the auctions. It's been so long since me and the wife have done that, and it's so much fun. But I mean, there used to be one in Hitchin, which was great, obviously on my doorstep, but I've got to go to St Albans or Bedford to get the nearest general auction.
Yeah.
How near are yours? Do you have to travel a lot to them?
Well, I'm in Rosendale. You probably don't know where that is. It's sort of like 20 miles north of Manchester.
Right.
I'm about 20 miles away from Manchester. But the sales I go to, there's one in a place called Eccleston, which is just off the M6. It's probably about 25, 30 mile away. The other one in Leyland's about the same. And the main one that I go to in Clitheroe is about 20 miles away. No, say about 15. It's a nice little drive up there. But when I go, I don't go and buy one or two things. I buy 10, 12 lots, and then I leave it for a bit. Like at the moment, I've got a big backlog of stock. I'll list my way through some of that before I go back again. I won't go and buy one box lot. It's just no point. I try to get the buy-in as efficient as possible. And if you can go out like you do at the car boots, and you drop the back seats on your car and you fill it up.
Yeah,
that's the way to do it. Nipping out every day to a charity shop and buying two things to me is just like it's just a waste of time. I'd rather be at home listing. I don't want to go out and get the stuff in. I want to get tonnage. Basically.
I must admit, I do. Whenever I pop out for my lunch, I'll pop in my two regular decent charity shops.
That's different though, isn't it?
It's all scanning for FBA though now. I'll have a look at. I'll find whatever sealed media they've got. Beep, beep, beep. Okay, I can make a tenner on that. Back to the office. Put it in my FBA pile, and it's just.
Well, that's just buying money, basically, isn't it? You're just buying money there, basically. You that's different if you're nipping out. But what I'm saying is like before I discovered the auctions, Monday I'd go to the vintage shop. Tuesday I'd go around all the charity shops. Wednesday I'd go to the flea market. I don't do any of that now. It's once a week, or if I've got enough stock, less than that, and I just go out and I hit it in one big lot, and do it all in one go, and then I've got the stock, and then I've got that backlog of stock to list then, so there's no panic.
But do you go to a preview? Do you set a price? You don't. You sort of do it on the fly kind of thing.
Well, one of the auctions produces a catalogue with a gallery, so you can check that one out, which I always do. The other two auctions, they do produce a catalogue, but it's just a one-line description catalogue, so it'll say lot 4038, box of Treen. So it could be anything. There was a box yesterday.
You can't really assess it. You have to go and look at it. Yeah.
But the one in Clitheroe only has on the day viewing anyway. The auction starts at 1 p.m, so I just usually get there for 12. And I just walk round, mark off in a little catalogue they charge you 50p for. Just mark off the ones that I'm interested in. I don't even bother putting a price next to them now because I know roughly in my mind what I want to pay. I just mark them off and then bid. The one on a Tuesday, like I say, that has a full catalogue and a gallery, that does give you a little bit more help. But again, we'll do album of postcards. You click on the gallery, and all you can see is the box of the album of postcards sat on the table, shut.
Yeah.
So you've still got to go and look. But some of the other things you can see.
As you and I know, an album of postcards can be worth anything from nothing to a few grand. I mean, it depends. If it's modern stuff that's, international rubbish or whatever. But if it's vintage, 100-year-old topographical stuff or whatever, military stuff. I mean, you were saying you got some more military, didn't you, the other day? Was it military?
Yeah, I've got a few military mixed in my last one. And I've got a load of ships as well, like the Mauritania, Aquitania, early ships.
Wow.
No Titanics, unfortunately. Because they're worth an hour a leg. You get £500 or £600 for a Titanic postcard.
Is it White Star? Is it?
Yeah, White Star. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a load of ships in this latest one. There's a few topographical ones. And the topographical ones that do really well are nondescript streets. Like say Bradshaw Avenue, Accrington, because it's not Chatsworth, where there's 3,000 on eBay. Yeah. You're the only one, and it's somebody whose grandmother lived there or mother lived there or lives there now, and they sell super quick, and you get £10-20 for one card.
Absolutely. I haven't had many postcards for a long time, but I cleared a collection going back a year and a half, just before I started doing videos. I think I was just finishing the tail end of them, and the ones that were blowing my mind were just random village scenes, really early, roughly 100 years ago, village scenes. And I think it's because so few were issued, maybe.
Yeah.
And I was getting like certain villages, I'd look, I'd do my research, and then maybe one that had sold in the last, however long it was, a month or whatever, on bids for 20 or 30 quid. So I thought, really? And I had a few of this one village, can't even remember where it was. And I stuck them all on at 25 quid. And the same person bought them all. I think it was the same night they went on. And it's like, Jesus, I probably could have asked more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just blew my mind.
Well, old military ones as well, like, especially like, say you get something like, say, Accrington Pals or Liverpool Pals, the Pals regiments from World War One. If you could get a photograph of those leaving the village where they've just come, where they've all been recruited from,
right,
name your price.
Yeah.
Because there'll be a relative of one of those soldiers who'll want that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or somebody who's just it, because some people, it's like with the medals, some people collect certain regiments. And like, when you've got the East Lancashire Regiment, you've got the normal regiment, but then they did the PALS battalions, which was when the Kitchener did the, we need you posters, we want you. These were groups of lads who worked in the mills who all volunteered together, and most of them got killed. Those battalions are very, very highly collected. So say you've got a medal for East Lancashire Regiment, a normal battalion is worth 50 quid. A PALS battalion may be worth 300.
Yeah.
The same medal, same regiment, just a different battalion. Because it's all about that desirability of that one little detail can make the difference between something being worth a couple of quid and being worth a couple of hundred. It's ridiculous, really. Well,
I was going to show you something, but completely slipped my mind. I was going to bring it down to the office to show you. I've got an original First World War German Pickelhau helmet with the spike, and it's in fantastic condition with the crest and the eagle and everything. And it's actually bought by, I'm not going to sell it. It's like a family thing. My great grandfather bought it back from the Somme, but I completely forgot to bring it down. It's an amazing thing. But the creepy thing about it is it's so small. I mean, it's sort of leather anyway, and it might have shrunk a bit, but I can't get it on my head, and I've got a fairly small head. So it was like either it was a really small guy or it was like a teenager or young lad. This helmet.
Yeah.
I'll have to show it in a video.
I've got a cigarette case here somewhere from a World War One cigarette case, German. I don't know if you can see that. Silver. And I bought this with the Iron Cross and his wedding ring and everything, and split it all down into job lots. And it's inscribed on the inside there. You probably can't see it on the
just about
there. Yeah. In German, obviously. To my young love, 15th of October 1916. And that's the sort of thing that, I love buying, because it's like, did he survive? What happened to him? Did he have a family? Or, it's like holding a piece of history in your hands. That's the way I look at it.
So did that come with the same guy's medal then, did you say? Or
yeah, I had his Iron Cross, first class Iron Cross, the pin one for officers, and I've also got somewhere. I've sold his ring. The wedding ring and the Iron Cross have gone. He had a wedding ring as well, which was what they call a gold for iron ring. But I knew nothing about these. I had to research it. What they used to do was, because they were suffering the economy in Germany at the time, they got the people to trade in their gold jewellery for iron jewellery, so, because gold is worth more than iron. And they were like these patriotic rings. It says, I gave my gold for iron. So I sold that for 50 quid, the ring. That went for 50 quid. The Iron Cross went for 180, I think. This is on for quite a bit. It's on for 130, which is a lot more than it's worth as a standard cigarette case. If that was a standard cigarette case, I'd probably want 60 quid for it. But it's because it's World War One and it's got an inscription inside. I'm looking for a World War One collector,
You're selling the uniqueness of it, aren't you? You're not selling a silver item as such. It's
yeah. So but that's the thing that I love about it is you buy something, you don't know too much about it, and with half an hour's research, you can know more than most people in the country about it. I mean, Scavenger Life say that all the time. You do half an hour's research and you'll know more than 95% of the population. You do 3 hours research on something, you'll know more than 99% of the population about something. So, you can quite easily, I hate the word expert, but you can quite easily become very knowledgeable on a wide variety of items if you're interested.
yeah.
I think that's the key to it. You've got to be interested. If you're just looking to sell stuff and you're using like anybody's video, could be yours or anybody's, and you see that list of items and you're just working to that list like as though you're painting a picture by numbers, you're never going to get far.
No, I think we've all seen that in the community a bit, that people are learning that they have to create their own path. I mean,
you've got
I do what I do, but also people don't realise I do lots of other stuff, and I go through phases, and it's like a continually evolving thing, But people have latched onto certain things that I do and certain things Joe does and whatever. But people need to just be creative. I mean, look at what you do, and you're doing very well out of just learning as you go and creating your own sort of identity online. And I think it's fantastic. I'd love to come and rummage through your stuff. That sounded a bit weird.
I bet you would, Mr. Hills.
Oh, yes.
I tell you what, there's a few people who'd want to rubbish through my stuff at the moment. I've got some good gear in here. I just need to get it listed,
Yeah.
I've got a Lion's Cake sign over there that's worth about 300 quid that's not listed. I've got a big poster of the Queen Mary out of a travel agent's 1930s that's worth about the same that's not listed. So there's just thousands of pounds sitting around not listed,
Do you do any holding back stuff that you can see would go much better at the gift market? Do you see a spike at Christmas as well?
No, I do see a little spike. I had a good Christmas month, my best month so far, but not much better than last February, really. I think I did 3,600 December gross with postage on top because I charge postage. So like over 4,000 if you include the postage, which on my videos I always quote a figure including my postage, because I'm doing videos against people who are doing free post who say, I've sold 1,000 quid's worth of stock, when no, you've not. You've sold 700 quid's worth because 300 quid of it was post. So I do the same on my videos because I have to give a gross figure, because otherwise it looks like I'm selling less than the norm, if you like. But I think last February I did 2,800. So, I don't really see. I have a couple of quiet months. May and June were quiet. But the rest of it, really, I think it's just a case of when somebody wants the item. I mean, last week I sold 30 odd items, but they were all low value. And then another week I can make more by selling 20 items, but they're all people who £50 and £60 an item, so it's up and down. But generally, as my listings are going up, the trend is going up, it's creeping up in the right way, I would say.
Yeah, well, it makes perfect sense. The more you've got on, the more you've got a chance of selling it. And
also I think it's a variety as well, not just the number of items you've got on. It's like, don't just do all video games. Spread it about a bit, because certain markets, even though you don't realise it, will slow at certain times of the year, but somebody else will be buying something else. Like Joe does with his jeans. Like, it gets to summer and he starts cutting them all in half, doesn't he, and making shorts out of them, but he's thinking, isn't he? The weather's getting good.
He's a clever guy. It amazes me what he achieves in his spare time. I chat to him quite a bit online, and he does incredibly well out of it. Really does.
But he's using his brain. He's using his brain, you see.
Yeah, he is a very clever guy. I'm going to have to wrap it up because,
no problem.
You probably know, I've got to head off to go gambling. I've got my poker group. I've got to go and play.
I hope you win this week, and I hope there's no fights.
Oh yeah, God, that was a weird night. That was. No, people watching this won't have a clue what we're talking about. I play poker every Thursday in one of my local pubs with a group of lads, and there was a couple of guys that were caught cheating, trying to give their mates decent cards. I don't know how they were doing it, and it kicked off. It didn't end up in fist flying, but it was that close to it. So I was just sitting there thinking, what the bloody hell? It was like a scene out of a Western. It was classic. Yeah, they're not playing anymore, shall we say? So it should be quite.
They've been run out of town, have they?
They have indeed. Yeah, I managed to lose last week. I was first out of the game. It was depressing. So tonight, I'm going for it.
Ah, well, good luck then.
Yeah, well, it's smashing talking to you. I'm glad we got that sorted. And yeah, we'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, good luck with your listings and
okay.
all your mantiques. And I'll speak to you soon, buddy.
See you later.
Take
Cheers.
care.
Bye.